dear couplings. In the latest update on retail news, we will address various significant themes, including the encounters with challenging customers, a noteworthy intervention by a child, instances of illogical reasoning, because why would customers be reasonable, gambling issues, and failures within operational systems. Before delving into these topics, we should like to highlight the recent developments at Jules Merch. Now we shall discuss the situation involving a customer who insisted that Unlucky Charm 7 earned her additional change after utilizing the extra funds she had provided for her transaction. I work in a grocery store as a cashier. It was a particularly busy day when this happened. Every till was open with lineups going down the aisles, a very stressful time on its own. I had this couple come through my till. I was being friendly with them as I am with every customer, though they were a bit rude throughout the whole transaction. I understand when customers don't want to talk, and I knew I had to be quick to keep the line moving. So I kept it to only asking them the necessary questions. Finally, at the end of the transaction, it's time for them to pay. All right, your total today is $7.45. Will that be cash or card? The woman gave me a $20 bill with a toonie, $2 coin. I wasn't thinking of the math in my head, but the toonie wasn't actually necessarily. Thankfully, our tills automatically tell us how much change to give back. I looked up at it and her change back was $14.55, which included the toonie she gave me. So to make her change, I used the toonie I got from her and then added another toonie to make the $4, plus the $10 bill and the other coins needed. It looks like I didn't need that toonie after all, I said as I gave her the change. With the transaction completed and her bag with the stuff she bought already packed up, I turned to greet the next customer and continued working. You gave me the wrong change, the woman says. I stopped what I was doing and looked back at her, sort of confused. At first, I thought maybe I had missed a coin because of the rush. Makes sense. Oh, I'm sorry. What did I miss? You owe me another toonie. She laid out all the change I gave her, and I counted it up in my head. Sure enough, all of the money was there. Just to make sure, I asked for her receipt to double check the amount of change I owed. It was all correct. I'm sorry, ma'am, but it looks like all the correct change is there. No, I gave you $20 and a toonie. You gave me back the toonie, and then this change. You owe me another toonie. Ma'am, the toonie was too much extra. The change on the receipt includes that the toonie I gave back to you is your change back. No, you're wrong. You still owe me another toonie. I think you need to start looking for another job. Oh, ooh, okay. Too early. Too early. We need to remain professional, guys. This is a news report. Oh man, I was absolutely dumbfounded. There were still people waiting to be served in my line, and some of them were starting to move over to different tills. I was getting really stressed out and was starting to shake a bit, being on the verge of having a panic attack. I tried a couple more times to explain the math, but both the man and the woman were adamant that I was in the wrong. No, sweetie, you weren't in the wrong. They just confused. My co-worker at the till in front of me noticed what was going on and told me to call a manager. I grabbed the phone and paged the intercoms, doing as she said. About a minute later, a manager showed up and asked what was going on. The woman said her piece, and I explained what I had done. The manager did the same as me by looking at the receipt and counting the change. So your total was $7.45. You gave her $22 and she gave you $14.55 back. Yes, but she gave me back the toonie I gave her. She still owes me another toonie. The manager looked at me and then the woman. She gave you the right change. The couple continued to argue, so my manager took them off to the side that I could continue serving other customers. This went on for almost 10 minutes straight. Oh, sweetie. I'm not sure what the conclusion was, but the couple finally left. After we got through the rush of customers, the manager came over to check in and reassure me that I had done nothing wrong. I told him everything that happened, including what the woman had said about me needing to look for another job. He just laughed and told me not to worry about it. Overall, a pretty rough experience for a couple of weeks after that. I was honestly expecting to be told that there had been a complaint filed about me. Thankfully, it never happened. If you are not in the wrong and you do your job the way you are told to do your job, and you've done everything in your abilities and what you were trained to do to serve the customer, then there will be no complaints filed about you. And if there are any complaints filed about you, they will be thrown out because you did exactly what you needed to do. Um, I actually like the way this was handled. I think I would have handled the exact same way. I would have called the manager before my coworker told me to call a manager. I think I would have done that before things got that bad. Honestly, I would have been like, ma'am, sir, I'm gonna call my manager and he can help you sort this out. And then I would have called the manager, and then the same thing would have happened. But yeah, I like the story. I rate the story 1 out of 5 because it wasn't that. But actually, you know what? I'll make it a 2 out of 5 because she was on the verge of a panic attack and she didn't have the panic attack. And also, the manager was so sweet. He came, checked in on her, made sure she was okay. Um, laughed at what the customers said and reassured her, like, you know what, customers can be crazy. It's okay. You're fine. You did nothing wrong. So that's why I'm rating this a 2 out of 5 because the manager helped her calm down. The manager reassured her. The manager was on her side. Um, and he sorted out the situation when she tried her best to sort out the situation. So yeah, that is that story. Customers can really be adamant, can't they? Moving on to Asshat customer got mad at me for something another customer did. Ah, difficult customers. Disclaimer: this was about 3 months ago, and I'm a self checkout cashier. So this guy comes up to the self checkout, scans his stuff, and sees that his item, a pack of 15-ounce grout sponges, is not the right price. Here we go. So I ask him where it was. He says it was in a bin full of these things, and the price listed was lower than what's being shown on the screen. I say, okay, can you go get a picture of the item and the label? Can't you call someone to go check the price? Me? No, I can't. He annoyedly was back there and gets the right product. He happened to pick up the only pack of 15 grout sponges in a display full of packs of 3, something that is very common because of customers leaving stuff where it shouldn't be, and comes back and starts bitching about how he shouldn't have had to go back and get the item. He then goes to get a soda or something. Honestly, can't remember what it was. And at that point, I was scared that this guy was going to go off on me. And my head cashier walks up to the cash register. He was scanning stuff and clears it because he was gone for quite a while. He comes back, gets pissed off that his cart is empty because he was gone and he had put his item where many people leave their stuff when they don't want it, and starts going off on me and my head cashier who was there at the time, about how I should have listened better. He was vague so that what he was going to do He was vague as to what he was going to do with the items, and finally finishes. At this point, I'm scared out of my mind and honestly pissed off that I couldn't do anything about it. And my head cashier says that she was about to do something like kick him out, but he finished berating me before she could get the chance. So, yeah, I hope that guy never shops at my store again. I don't like how the situation was handled. This was on the cashier. Okay, so I've said multiple times each store has their own policy. But what this cashier could have done, she could have been asked somebody that's on the shop floor, or she could have contacted her manager and be like, "Hey, listen, can you please help this customer out? He can show you where he found this item. He says the item is different on the scanner than what it was on the shelf. So can you please go with him and, you know, help him figure this out and then come back and we can all sort it out together." That's how you handle that situation. You don't make the customer go and do that. You work there. You should be helping the customer. That is your job. So I understand why the customer was upset. I don't agree with a customer threatening you. If a customer threatens you, yes, ban them. But how you handled the situation escalated the situation. It didn't de escalate the situation. So what you do is you're like, okay, so I cannot move from this post because I have to stay here. But let me see if I can find somebody on the shop floor or get my manager to help you with this situation. And then you get somebody to come to you, explain the situation to them, and then they can turn to the customer and help the customer and like take the customer back to the shelf where there's been a price discrepancy. So no, the customer was not being an assly. He was upset because of how the situation was handled. Do I agree with the customer threatening you? No, it is never okay to threaten anyone ever. Whether it's I don't care what the threat was. It's never okay. You could have just walked away from the situation. You, as the customer, can walk away from the situation, or you can request, I want to speak to your manager. And then you talk to the manager. You don't threaten the manager. And when you're that frustrated, it's difficult to not scream and shout, but you talk to the manager as calmly as you possibly can and you say, I am very frustrated and irritated about by this. I was like, I'm really trying not to scream and shout and go off and say the first thing that comes to mind because I know it can get me into trouble. But this is the situation, and I'm not happy how this is done. Either you need to change your policies or you need better customer service. And you, as the customer, that is your duty. So both parties were wrong here. Um, but I do believe that the people working at the shop could have handled this situation better. I'm going to look at the replies and see if anyone disagrees with me. Why can't an employee go check the price? That's exactly what I said. These stores can't even be bothered to hire enough people to properly run the checkout lanes. You think they have extra people sitting around doing nothing? Not the point. No, yeah, most of them are like, you know, bagging on the customers, but I do agree with why can't an employee go check the price. That's basically what I am saying. But I rate this a 3 out of 5 because there were threats and they were just verbal threats. There was no actual, physical nothing. And for the customer side, because of the threats, I'll rate this a 3 out of 5. And for the staff there, I am gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna go 4 out of 5 because you could have done better. You could have de-escalated the situation and you could have given a better customer service than what you did. So, yeah, that is my opinion. If you disagree, please let me know. If you agree, please let me know in the comments down below. That time I got to see Captain America save the day. And this is by Mysterious Clue 3500. I used to work retail at a mom and pop's costume store. We had this family who were regular customers and would come in every year and pick out a themed Halloween costume as a family. This particular year, they said the theme was the Avengers. They had a son who was about 4 or 5 at the time. He chose to be Captain America, and they picked out his costume first. A little while later, he comes running back up to the cash wrap. Oh, sorry. In full costume, brandishing a phone. He told me he had found it on the floor and he had to protect it because the phones are very important. He asked me if I could help him find who it belonged to. So I made an announcement asking if anybody was missing a phone, but to no avail. At the point, I asked him to give me the phone and told him I would hold on to it until someone came back for it. He looked at me skeptically and flat out refused to hand it over at first. He explained to me how phones have all kinds of important things on them and that they aren't toys. I had to give him my solemn word that I would take good care of the phone before he would hand it over. I sent him back to his parents after that. Oh, this is it's difficult to stay professional right now. It is so difficult. About 10 minutes later, the phone started ringing and I noticed that the screen said home, so I answered it. It was, of course, the customer looking for her phone. I told her where she could find it and that I'd hold on to it for her. Another 15 minutes or so after that, the woman came into the store asking for the phone. I asked if she was in a hurry. She looked a little confused but said that she wasn't, so I asked her to hold on for just a moment. I went back and found the little Captain America still in costume because once you get a little child into them, it's impossible to get them out again. And asked him if he would like to return the phone to its owner. He gleefully said yes. So I handed him the phone and he walked back up to the front together. He presented the woman with her phone and explained to her that he had found it and had taken good care of it, because he knew how important phones were. The woman thanked him profusely. He gave her a sharp salute and then ran off back to his parents. At this point, the woman turned to me and said, "That might be the cutest thing I have ever seen. Seriously, you don't know how much I needed that. It's been a day." I told her it was no problem and I was glad she got the phone back. That story was so adorable. And oh my word, my heart. My heart. That is the cutest thing I have ever heard. No, not the cutest thing. That is the most adorable thing I have ever heard. And that like there's no rating this because it fills you up with so much joy. It's yeah. But what do you guys think of that story? And a little break in between couplings. I am so sorry. I've been so rude. I've got this beautiful cafe setting, and not once did I offer you guys anything to drink or eat. So now's your chance to tell me if you want a cappuccino, a mocha, a latte. This is not Starbucks. We do not do that fancy coffee stuff. This is classic coffee, cappuccino, lattes, mochaccino, and you know the normal coffee stuff, not the Starbucks coffee. No, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't ruin coffee here. Here it's chef's kiss. And what snacks would you like? Would you like to have some breakfast? Would you like to have some lunch? I can get somebody to serve you while we continue with our next 3 stories. As for me, oh, my tea's finished. How sad. I will have some more tea after this. Anyway, back to the news. Your logic chopping is impressive, but the rules aren't changing. This is by disastrous target 5060. I had a customer come in to pick up a package, but the address on his ID didn't match the one on the label. So I asked him for something with his current address or the tracking number. The following conversation happened. Customer gestures to the notice that was left on his door. What about that? Me. Sorry, doesn't count. Someone who just happens to share your name could show us that, and we wouldn't know the difference. So we could end up giving your package to the wrong person if we accepted that. Customer's first and last name were both very common. Customer, can I show you a piece of mail with my address? Me, sure, we accept bills that are in your name. Customer, well, couldn't the same person steal my mail and still claim to be me? Sorry, I have to logic chop this sort of thing. Me, your logic chopping is impressive, but I'm not releasing the package if I'm not convinced that it's for you. Customer complains about no one wanting to help people or just kicking the problem to someone else who will do the same thing while looking for something with his address. The customer did eventually show me something that satisfied the rules and released the package. I will never understand the people who get so upset when we make them prove that a package is actually for them. I would say this is on the customer. Instead of making this person's job more difficult, just present the proof that they are asking for, and then you out there sooner than what you would have if you didn't complain and kick up a fuss for no reason whatsoever, because that's what this customer did. He kicked up a fuss for no reason whatever. So I do like the way that disastrous targets handled the situation. I most likely would have handled the situation similarly. So yeah, I rate this a 1 out of 5 again because it's not that bad. Scratch cards. Oh. A group of workers from another company came by my till today. The first guy in the line is a scratch card addict who will come in regularly throughout any given day to purchase £5 tickets and will, of course, spend any winnings on more tickets. There are many such cases. On this particular day, he has already been in a couple of times. He and the second guy both buy a couple of £5 tickets and go wait outside for the third man. The third man comes up to my till. Him. My colleagues convince me to buy one of these, but do people actually win? Me. Sometimes. Him. But not often. Me. No, not often. Him. It's a waste of money then. That's what I thought. Me. Basically, yes. Don't make it a habit. So he purchased one ticket and then left. Later in the shift, he comes back to redeem the card, having won £25. This was the worst possible outcome. He predictably came back throughout the day, purchased more tickets, eventually negating his winnings and losing a further £15 to boot. I hoped he learned his lessons, but I honestly doubt it. All this to say, I hate scratch cards with a passion. I understand that, and when you enter a competition or you try lottery for the first time or you try these scratch cards for the first time and you get a small winning, it's best just to walk away. You know the song The Gambler by Kenny Rogers? I suggest listening to that song. It's like you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. I'm pretty sure I'm missing a lyric in between that. But I just want to point out you got to know when to walk away. Uh, just because you got lucky once doesn't mean you're going to get lucky again. And you could end up in major debt. You could end up in um, major financial situations that it can affect your family, can affect your life, and it can ruin you. Gambling is such a dangerous addiction. Any addiction is dangerous, but we focusing on gambling here. So when you try these things, please go into it with a cautionary mind. And if you do have an addictive personality, or your family does have addiction running through your family, stay away. Just it's best for you to stay away. We're gonna look at some of the comments and see what some of the comments have to say about this. I know someone who got a criminal record from stealing scratch cards from the shop they worked at because of a gambling addiction. I know of someone else who used a card a customer accidentally left in the tills chip and pin machine to buy themselves scratch cards throughout the shift. Again, lost their job and got done for something or other for the debit card abuse. Yeah, I'm not going to read all the comments, but if you guys want to go read the comments, these stories will be linked in the description down below. Yeah, but just be careful of gambling addiction or any kind of addiction. Something that I did learn about addiction, if you don't have any self discipline or if you don't have any healthy goals set from you, and not just it's good to have goals, but if you don't have an plan of action and if you don't discipline yourself to follow that plan of action and you have no self discipline at all, addiction is very dangerous to you. So be careful when it comes to that. Um, we all like doing, we all there are things in our lives that we don't like doing. For example, as a child, you did not like eating vegetables because they didn't taste nice. But as you grow older, you see the benefits of eating vegetables, of eating fruits and stuff like that. When we when we just want to do things that is comfortable to us or that we like and stuff like that, and we don't ever do the things that we don't like, it's going to become a problem. So learn self discipline and learn to set healthier goals, whether you need to reach out to somebody you look up to, whether you need to talk to a therapist or a counselor, or just seek help. I don't know any help guidelines that I can put down in the description down below for those of you who um, are looking for help. If I do find these guidelines, then I will definitely, um, add that in the comments later on. But yeah, guys, just be careful. Be more self disciplined. Learn to do things that you don't like. For example, something silly as cleaning. Um, I struggle with that, so that's the only reason why I'm putting that example out there. But learn to do something that you don't like doing. Discipline to do something that you don't like doing. Like I said, for example, cleaning or I don't know, taking a walk, or you know, doing some sort of exercises. I mean, there are home exercises that you can do. You don't necessarily have to go to a gym. Yes, a gym helps, but if you don't have the finances for that, try and do exercises at home and discipline yourself to do that. Discipline yourself to get up early in the mornings instead of late at night. Discipline yourself, I mean, late during the day, like 10, 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Discipline yourself to go to bed early instead of being up all night. Discipline yourself in how much screen time you have during the day. I know we could all use some sort of discipline in our lives. But that is my opinion on scratch cards. And because of how dangerous this can get, I will be rating this like a 4 or 5 out of 5 because this can get really, really dangerous and this can truly ruin your life and it can ruin the lives of those around you, especially your loved ones. So just be careful out there. Mm. And the last story for the day the decimal point moved over. Something that I just remembered from my time as a blue vest cashier. Something went very wrong in the computer system that affected all baked goods. That affected all baked goods. Simply put, when you scanned any baked goods, whether it be a regular or a self checkout, the decimal point on the price moved over one space to the right. So instead of your box of two donuts coming up as $1.99, it would come up as $19.90. Not sure how many people went through the checkouts with with large orders that included a pack of donuts or pastry and didn't notice. Once I realized what was going on, it wasn't terrible to fix, but it had to be manually done for everyone, every single bakery item. They had their own barcode, so they didn't have it in the quick lookup menu. We had to scan each item with a handheld scanner to see what it was being set at, then manually type in each item and price. This system made you type a description every time you did this. So slow. I felt really sorry for those who accidentally paid 10 times the price. This wasn't the first time this kind of thing happened. For a while, all steak rang up as filet mignon, regardless of the actual item, and charged accordingly. Oh, okay. Let's see if. Okay, I see in the first comments they said that happened. I want to see if they found a way to fix it. Had this happened to me twice at Illinois Jewel, but thankfully caught it each time. I always check my receipts. One was supposed to be $3.99 and charged $39.99. I was like, I enjoy your daily fried chicken, but not that much. Oh no. Okay, so this was a customer, and it seems to happen quite a bit. Um, I don't know how I would have handled this situation because, like, to add in every single item, that is time consuming. So it might have been an easy fix, but it's time consuming. It takes a lot of concentration. And by the end of the day, you are mentally exhausted. Honestly, I would have phoned head office or the owner if it's a pop and mom store, and I would have let them know what was going on and see if we could come up with a solution together to fix this problem so it doesn't happen again. Or I would have phoned the manufacturers of these equipments and asked them if they could come in and check and see why this keeps happening. Honestly, that's how I would have handled the situation. And you know what? It is messing with people's finances because you don't know who's living from paycheck to paycheck. You don't know who's, got a strict budget they because of, they're paying off debts, or because, if they're not careful with their money, they might not be able to afford utilities or rent or this. You never know. And because of that, I will rate this like a 3 out of 5 because it's something that can be solvable. But yeah, I would say just be careful. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's retail news. And until next week, I'm going to go ahead and say bye, my couplings.